My neighbor thinks she owns the entire building and then breaks into my apartment. E31F live in a block of 6 units apartments for non-Australians. About a month ago, the unit above mine was sold, and the new owner moved in less than a week ago. This morning, I got up to take the rubbish out and found a note stuck to my door. I thought it might be a new to the building kind of note, but I was wrong. The note read, "Dear tenant, I recently bought your building and wanted to introduce myself. My name is blah blah," not putting her actual name. "I think you'll find me a fair landlord, but I have rules. Everyone must be in their units by 9 p.m. If you're out past this, find accommodation elsewhere. No pets allowed. If you have any, relocate them before I do an inspection, or I'll call the ranger to remove them. This is the only warning. I will conduct an inspection once a month, and you must be present to answer any questions or face eviction. Failure to pay rent on time will result in your eviction. If we all follow these rules, we will get along. Sincerely, blah blah." What the hell did I just read? Fun fact about my building. We all own our units. Nobody owns the whole building. I won't lie, when I got to the second point, I had a slight panic attack because I have cats, and there's no way I was giving them away. But then I remembered that we bought our unit just before Christmas. We used to rent it from a friend, but when she thought about selling, we bought it. So it still feels like renting sometimes, but we actually own it. I'm not great at confronting someone. I tend to shake a lot, but I was angry. So I went upstairs and knocked on her door. You know that gut feeling you have? Mine was spot on. The door opened, and there stood a Karen, blonder hair than mine, long, brightly colored nails. She didn't look happy to see me. I introduced myself, explained that I lived downstairs, and wanted to talk about her note. She started talking over me, saying that her letter was basic rules even a child could understand, and if I didn't like her rules, I could vacate. Wow. I would ask if people are really this full of themselves, but I work in retail and could answer my own question. I told her that I actually own my unit. She hadn't bought it or the rest of the building, only her own unit, and that she couldn't enforce anything in her note. She didn't like that at all and started yelling that yes, she had indeed bought the whole building, and failure to comply with her rules would mean eviction. I was starting to think maybe I was wrong when another neighbor opened his door. He asked what the issue was and if she could stop screaming, as he worked nights and was trying to sleep. I told him I was trying to explain that she hadn't bought the building, and she started yelling again. My neighbor told her to stop and then said the best thing I'd heard all day. "Are you stupid?" Her jaw dropped as he explained that she was wrong, and he was part of the strata committee like in HOA that oversees the building. She had no right to make rules for everyone. She gave us dirty looks before slamming the door. I thanked him, and he said in the entire time he'd lived there, he hadn't seen someone so entitled. Update. I guess this is an update to my last post. A lot of people asked me to post if she did anything else, and this is currently happening as my boyfriend is witnessing it and texting me while I'm at work. If you missed my last post, a new neighbor moved in and left notes on everyone's doors saying she had bought the building and gave us insane rules to follow. She doesn't own the building, only a unit. The jury is still out on whether she's insane or stupid. She's been quiet for a few days, and I thought maybe that was it. Apparently, I was wrong. Each unit in our building has one parking space. Just one. I park in mine, and my boyfriend parks his car on the street on the other side of the building. Our parking lot has one visitor space, which is usually empty. My neighbors have said my boyfriend could park there if he wanted, as we are the only unit with 2 cars, but he doesn't mind parking on the street. This morning, my boyfriend woke up to yelling. Our kitchen window overlooks the parking lot, and he snuck a peek to see the entitled neighbor arguing loudly with our nice neighbor. She kept yelling that she had a second car and needed to park in his spot, and that he had to move his car, or else she would have it towed. He kept repeating that it was his parking spot, and that she could either park in the visitor's spot or on the street, and if she towed his car, he would report it stolen. My boyfriend decided to park his car in my empty spot in case she tried to park there while I was at work. The last message he sent me said she had stormed upstairs in a huff and slammed her door. Edit. I got home from work, and she had parked her second car in the visitor spot, but she parked it so badly it was blocking the driveway. I'm parked on the street right now but too tired to deal with her. Edit 2. Sorry I didn't update sooner. When I got up for work the next day, her car was still there, but when I came home, it was gone. My boyfriend said a tow truck came and took it away. I'm still not sure which neighbor called the tow truck, but I suspect it was the one she was arguing with. My boyfriend said she's been quiet all day. Just the odd footsteps. Update 2. As many of you predicted, her entitlement grew. In case anyone missed the update on my last post, her car was towed, but I don't know which neighbor did it. This made her angrier, but since I was at work, she hasn't blamed me or my boyfriend. It's been raining all week, and I don't have a dryer, so I haven't been able to do any big items like sheets or towels, only clothes, as I can hang them up inside. On Saturday, it was finally sunny, and I raced home from work, dragged my boyfriend out of bed, so I could wash all the blankets and dry them in case it rained again. I managed to get through 5 loads of sheets, blankets, and towels and hung them all out on the shared line. There are technically 2 different lines for us to use, and we've never had an issue before. I hung out my last load and went inside to chill. An hour later, I went back out to get the first load off and found every single item I'd hung out on the ground. Nothing had replaced it, all of it had been torn down, and my pegs and peg basket were gone. Most of what I'd hung out was still wet and now covered in dirt. I got my boyfriend, and he helped me bring everything inside before I went upstairs and knocked on her door. When she answered, I asked if she had taken my washing off the line, and she smugly informed me that she had not given me permission to use her line and that next time, I should be polite and ask, and she might let me. Look, I work in retail and deal with nightmare customers, so I know how to be calm around these kinds of people. I tried to be polite about the letter and the car, but my bed is my safe space, and I wanted it clean, and she messed with that just to be petty. I calmly told her that everyone could use the line, it's part of the building, and nobody has to ask her permission. She tried to talk over me, but I just held up my hand and told her I was part of the strata committee, knew all the rules, and that she needed to pull her head out of her butt, grow up, and stop her behavior because it wasn't doing her any favors. I told her to have a nice day before she slammed her door. Update 3. I was really hoping my neighbor would settle down, but here we are. Though this story has a satisfying ending, it still happened last night, and I'm still a bit tired, so sorry for any spelling mistakes. Our neighbor had been quiet for a while, and my boyfriend, and I thought maybe she had finally realized she couldn't control the whole building. One of her cars was parked in her spot, and the other was parked on the street behind my boyfriend's car. Nobody's washing had been ripped off the line, and no new notes were stuck to doors until yesterday. As we are in the bottom unit, we have a side door that opens out onto the shared yard. I think the only time I use this door is to air the place out or as a shortcut to hang washing out. Anyway, yesterday, we were going about our day when we saw the entitled neighbor and a few other people setting up tables and chairs in the yard. No big deal, it's shared space. A few minutes later, there's a knock on the side door, and it's her. My boyfriend opened the door, it's a glass sliding door, so she could see us. She told us she was having a party and that we needed to move our wooden planters off our patio because she needed the space for her barbecue. No. Firstly, the patio is our space, not shared space. Secondly, the planters sit right next to the glass door, so I don't want some random person looking into my living room all night while they are cooking. My boyfriend reminded her she doesn't own the building, and we wouldn't be moving anything. One of her friends asked what she was doing as they had already set up the barbecue in the yard. She said we weren't being neighborly before storming off. We kept the curtains shut and minded our own business. We could hear the party outside, and it wasn't very loud. So we just chilled on the couch and started binging a new show. Maybe an hour later, I heard my boyfriend start to ask me a question when he froze, eyes wide open. And before I could ask what was wrong, I heard our side door click open. The entitled neighbor had opened our side door and was trying to squeeze between our planters to get inside. My boyfriend shot up and yanked the door open so hard that she actually fell back onto the patio. She tried to scream at us, but he cut her off and told her to never try that again before slamming the door and locking it. We tried to relax, but she started banging on the door a few minutes later. My boyfriend went back and told her that if she didn't leave, he'd call the cops. I thought she might scream back, but she just left. I'm not sure what happened outside, but it got quiet after that, and we went to bed. This morning, we got up, and there was another note stuck to the door. It was basically an apology but full of excuses. I think she wrote it before the party because it started with sorry about my car being towed and I didn't mean to be rude. I was stressed about moving in and work, and it was just bad timing. I thought she might have been sincere, but as I read on, she blamed me for her car being towed and said I should have told her what she was doing was wrong. I threw it away. That afternoon, I went out to get some groceries, and my neighbor was outside putting things into her car. She gave me a dirty look, and I just ignored her. She drove off, and as I walked back into the building, I saw her unit door was wide open. I wondered if she had just run inside to grab something and would come back out. Nope. When I got inside, I asked my boyfriend if he had seen her come back. He said no. It turns out she has left her unit door wide open, so everyone can see inside. If I were someone else, I could have gone inside and taken anything I wanted, but I didn't. Instead, I just walked away and went back to my unit. This will be my last update, I promise. I'm done dealing with this crazy neighbor. We reported her to the Strata Committee, and they have fined her for parking her car in the visitor spot and leaving her unit door wide open. My nice neighbor, who is also part of the Strata Committee, said they would send her a warning letter and call her if she doesn't pay the fine. If she does it again, they could possibly get her evicted, even though she owns the unit, as her behavior breaches the building's bylaws. I just hope she leaves before I do because I don't know how much more of her antics I can take.